At dawn, Snowy Pumpkin is still laden with the scent of embers and fruity wine. The villagers are already at work, sweeping the snow and rebuilding damaged buildings. There's no sign of satisfaction on their faces from the battle won, just anger for the lost lives, and the awareness of facing the harshest winter of their lives. The mayor, along with some citizens, young women and children, bids farewell to the group of adventurers with sorrowful eyes, offering them various enchanted artifacts, a magical torch, an elven compass, and a dagger with emerald runes. Ceria meets the gaze of her companions, nods, and tells the mayor, "Thank you, but we don't need them. Keep these gifts for future emergencies." The mayor frowns, filled with gratitude. "At least let me give you this," he says, handing over facial paints for pyromancer barbarians meant to amplify their scorching powers. Fjorna sniffs the bowl and accepts it, stowing it in her bag. "Moreover," adds the mayor, "our carpenter would like to carve a statue of Sigrud, the hero who defeated the leader of the Arctic goblins, to commemorate the battle and inspire our men." Sigrud grimaces at his sister, then leans to the mayor's ear and whispers, "Make me big." The mayor is perplexed, looks into Sigrud's eyes, and the barbarian repeats, making a viral gesture, "Big!" The mayor acquiesces. Of course. And so, the group heads toward the village of the Fishmen Druids, disappearing into the snow blanket. The landscape is a vast white carpet, flanked by rocky formations and frozen lakes. Herds of reindeer move swiftly, also struggling to find a new home. After a morning's walk, Ceria is still not used to the tundra paths, but feels the terrain has become even more impassable than when they arrived at Snowy Pumpkin. Even Sigrud seems to slow his pace. "Are you already tired, little brother?" Fjorna teases him. "Shut up," shouts Sigrud, out of breath. "The hero of Snowy Pumpkin. I knew you would become famous one day. We could carve a pumpkin-shaped headstone for your coffin." The barbarian chuckles, followed by Zephira, who fails to keep her composure. "So you do have teeth. I thought you maintained that haughty grimace to cover your gums," says Fjorna to the tiefling. "Yes, I have teeth, but tell me, was this detour satisfying enough for you to analyze my fighting style?" responds Zephira, stroking a vial to raise the temperature. "Not bad. Your strategy was flawless, and your manipulation of brass is a natural talent, but you respond hesitantly to thrusts and are too static. A warrior must also show their back to the opponent, not giving them time to target any vital organs." Zephira replies with an unbreakable smile. "And then," she adds, "you miscalculated by letting Sigrud lead the advance." "The stronger of the two is me?" Fjorna's blue, proud eyes stare back. Curiously, Sigrud does not counter. He just scratches his ear and continues walking. Then, a gust of icy wind shakes the formation. "We need to take shelter," yells Zephira. "A storm is coming." The group finds refuge in a cave. It is dark and damp, but fortunate to have found. Fjorna lights some torches while Zephira starts setting up camp. Using their rations and some food offered by the villagers, Sigrud cooks a fragrant stew of boar and mushrooms that boils in a huge brass pot made by Zephira. The barbarian is ladling out portions to everyone with a wooden spoon. "Unfortunately, we didn't have any chives. With that, the stew would have been even better," he says. "Do you like cooking?" asks Ceria. "My brother's dream is to cook in his own tavern," says Fjorna. "Really? That's fantastic. I didn't know this side of you, Mr. Sigrud," exclaims Ceria, astonished. "Enough with this, Mr. Sigrud. Tell me how the soup is." Ceria slurps the soup noisily, then responds with steam coming out of her mouth. "My God! My God!" stomping her feet on the frozen ground. "It's delicious! How did you manage to give it such a strong flavor?" Sigrud strokes his beard proudly and replies, while the adventurers help themselves to the meal. "Firstly, I hunted the boar under the full moon with a clean heart shot, thanking the goddess Mieliki to ensure the meat was as tender as possible. Then I marinated the innards with garlic, rosemary, and a handful of juniper berries for half an hour. Then I drained the meat and sautéed it in a pan with chopped onions and a generous amount of butter. Once browned, I added the mushrooms, stirring with this elven beechwood ladle to cleanse the impurities. Finally, I put the meat back in the pot and boiled everything with red wine for 20 minutes. But as I said, the result is very mediocre with the ingredients I had at my disposal." Ceria cleans the plate with her tongue, shocked by the barbarian's modesty. Even Zephira devours the bowl with soup dripping from the sides. "Groo, groo! Groo, groo!" A pained cry comes from a corner of the cave. "For Ramses! Here we go!" Sigrud yells, throwing his soup bowl to the ground. His pink dodo had made a small nest of dry branches and clay pieces and seemed about to lay eggs. Come on, my friend. Sigrud needs to prove to that witch of a sister that she was wrong. Give me a sparkling quartz egg. The dodo, pushing with all its might, finally lays an egg, and it is. And what is this? asks Sigrud. Sure, it's an egg. It's pink, but it doesn't shimmer and seems to be very rough. Zephira picks it up with 2 fingers, examines it, and declares, well, surely this is no ordinary dodo. It doesn't lay common eggs, but rhodonite formations also known as dam stones, she concludes, mocking Sigrud. Icewind Dale is full of rhodonite deposits. This egg is worth less than a teaspoon. Sigrud turns the pink dodo over in his hands, as if the quartz egg should come out from another side. That old shaman tricked me. Typhus and plague, to her and all her children. The next day, Sigrud and Fjorna paint their faces with the new dyes. They are simple colors made of clay and iron oxide, with no magical properties, but infusing the barbarians with courage. Sun rays filter through the morning clouds, lighting the way to the village of the Fishmen Druids. The village is largely built on stilts, assembled with wood, seaweed, and nets, the structures resembling fish and fins. Ceria is enchanted, having never seen such architecture before, sensing the spiritual connection this community must have with nature, while Zephira constantly holds her nose, barely tolerating the strong fish smell. The inhabitants are anthropomorphic beings with the faces of aquatic animals, slimy scales, and large bulging eyes, mostly fishermen, catching fish near the pier with hooks, lines, and wooden tridents, or gathering shoals with hemp nets in small primitive boats. But there are also many merchants, making rudimentary use of the language of the 10 towns, interspersing words with grunts and guttural sounds, yet they seem to have integrated into society given the dense presence of traders from East Haven and Targos. Strangely, there are no druids. They must be performing rituals in their huts, Ceria thinks. The group starts asking for information in the central market, showing each villager the symbol from Ceria's father's diary. A fish woman with a basket full of oysters ignores them suspiciously, perhaps frightened by the strangers. An old man sitting on the steps smoking responds with incomprehensible words and gestures for them to go away. They ask a group of children playing with a ball in the market fountain, but even they can't provide an answer. One child asks for coins, and Sigrud hands him an egg from his pink dodo. The child is disappointed. The group approaches a stall run by an old eel woman, her brown scales gleaming under the morning sun. She hisses, trying to sell her trinkets to the adventurers. You come here. I see evil spirit on you. Big misfortune, but I have artifacts to change your fate. The stall is a jumble of handmade amulets made of fish bones, idols woven with wet ropes, and shells gathered from the seabed. Fjorna, ignoring the merchant's offers, shows her the diary. We are looking for this symbol. Do you recognize it? The merchant's face is expressionless, difficult to decipher, her jaw slightly wavering as she answers. Yes, I know. It is the emblem of an ancient druidic clan. Their hut is nearby, but evil spirit prevents me from remembering. You must absolutely buy amulet to chase away. Fjorna snorts, rolls her eyes, and replies, All right, what do you suggest? The merchant waves her fingers, grabs her trinkets, and displays them. I recommend demon-repelling necklace, each gem embedded with a tadpole, each blessed to repel a specific type of spirit, or I offer salted comb. This comb, made with bones of magical sperm whale, keeps spirits away from hair. Finally, embalmed abyssal fish. This relic was tied to a soul eater. Its lantern attracts spirits at night that are eaten by jaws. While the merchant speaks, Fjorna observes Zephira, who is casually staring at a shell-shaped earring. And what's that for? Asks the warrior. That junk, simple pendant, replies the merchant. Fjorna raises an eyebrow, but also good for repelling spirits, worth 3 silver coins. Fjorna throws her 2 coins, make it 2, and be thankful. The eel woman hisses an unknown word, probably a curse, gives the adventurers directions to the hut, and then moves on to bother a small halfling. You didn't need to gift it, I was just curious, Zephira tells her dryly. Hold still, replies Fjorna, trying to put the earring on her. What's the matter? Have you fallen for me too? Zephira asks. Sorry to disappoint you, but you're too skinny for my tastes, but it looks very good on you, Fjorna says, leaning back to see her in full. Indeed, it suits her very much. Thanks. Zephira replies, turning her face, embarrassed. Ceria's heart beats fast as the group stops in front of the huge hut made of wood and moss. On the entrance door, there is a bas-relief identical to the one in the diary. Fjorna knocks on the door, but there is no response. She exchanges a glance with Sigrud, touches the handle. The door is open. With the pyromancer barbarians leading, the group enters. "May we come in?" asks Fjorna with her hand on the handle of her axe. The interior structure is built with cedar wood, algae, and fishing nets. Medicinal herbs are stored in glass containers on shelves. Various druidic relics are hung on the walls. Amulets of shells, sticks adorned with runic symbols, dried aquatic plants. In the center, a large tank full of brackish water hosts several colorful fish swimming in a strange circular current. A gigantic fishman with a catfish face is performing a ritual dance with fluid, harmonious movements, manipulating threads of water that float around him. In front of him is an altar with 3 giant stationary carps. Strangers come. Help Momongo and dance. The group approaches uncertainly, trying to imitate the complex movements of the druid. Veils of water swirl together with them following the rhythm. Momongo begins to emit ritual verses. "You sing! Sing with Momongo!" The adventurers, increasingly embarrassed, look at each other clumsily, chasing the voice of the druid. "Oma lacha una aka ana laka umanu. Oma lacha ana lacha umanu." They continue this way until one carp starts to flap its tail, then flips over and swims back into the water, healthy. The second one comes to its senses and dives into the tank, but the third remains motionless. An agitated Momongo turns to Ceria, being the closest to the carp. "You help friend to come to, give kiss with life-giving air." Ceria hesitates. "But I." "Time running out," insists Momongo. In panic, Ceria picks up the slimy carp and gives it a tight-lipped kiss, passing only a thread of air through. After a moment, the carp starts to wriggle and is thrown into the water. "You little elk with a heart as big as a whale. You have saved my friend." Momongo shouts with his resonant voice as he lifts her up in a hug. The rest of the party watches the scene with a mix of astonishment and amusement. "Mr. Momongo, forgive us for entering without permission. The door was open," says Ceria. Momongo puts the elk down and goes to stroke the backs of his friends with his stubby finger. "My name is Momongo, aquatic druid patriarch of the Sapphire Scale clan. You did well to enter. Who are you? You are not the assistant to that half-elf merchant who wants to sell me an anti-mold wand, are you?" Ceria tries to interrupt him, Mr. Momongo, but the fishman insists, "I don't need a wand, I like my mold." "Mr. Momongo," Ceria shouts, interrupting him, "I'm Ceria Irondeer. I come from Dugan's Hole. I'm an archaeologist, and I'm looking for my father. His disappearance is connected to this symbol here. Do you recognize it?" The fishman stares at the symbol, then lowers his gaze and strokes his beard. "Yes, I know that symbol. Symbol of my clan, the Sapphire Scales, ancient symbol, has accompanied my clan for 13 generations. Momongo pauses. "Do you have any idea why my father would have carved the symbol of your clan in his diary?" Momongo turns away, grabs a bowl with fish feed. "Momongo." "Momongo has no idea, does not know your father." Ceria stiffens. Fjorna takes a breath and asks, "Aren't there other members of your clan we could ask?" The fishman throws the feed into the tank, making the fish gasp, and replies, "Momongo, last member of his clan, sorry." Ceria feels shattered, her grip on the diary weakens, she can't say anything, even her legs start to tremble, making it hard to stand. The silence is broken by the rumbling stomach of Sigrud. "Sorry, I think it's time for lunch." Momongo spreads his arms and places them on the shoulders of the pyromancer barbarian. "Then you stay. You are my guests. Momongo will cook for you." Fjorna tries to reply, worried about Ceria's mood. "I'm sorry, Mr. Momongo, but it's not the right time." "I insist," booms Momongo with his deep voice. "When you are full, return to your search, yes?" After half an hour, a huge wooden table is covered with a variety of seafood dishes, roasted seaweed, oysters, rice with clams, and other specialties seasoned with very salty spices, reflecting the cuisine of the fishmen. Sigrud asks Momongo about the secrets of his recipes while casting glances at his sister, who, ignoring the utensils, eats rice with her hands like a true savage, while Zephira struggles to swallow even a single bite, distrustful of the local cuisine. Ceria can't eat, idly separating parsley pieces from her plate. Sigrud asks, "Momongo, tell us about the origins of this village. I had never heard of fishmen. Civilized? No offense." Momongo bites into an onion with its skin still on and replies, "Once we were like other fishmen, warriors, solitary. Change happened centuries ago after a great tsunami. A huge wave destroyed our homes, village divided into those who wanted to rebuild and those who wanted to leave. We chose to leave. Clan extinct after 200 years due to war with Bullywug tribe. We settled in these lands, driving away the Naga tribe. Conflict lasted generations. Migration made us reflective, made us think about the power of the sea and our role in nature. That's why we became a druidic community, opened our hearts to the sea, opened our doors to humans." Momongo offers a bubbling bowl of greenish liquid to Zephira, who accepts with a grimace. "Our people live by listening to the wisdom of the sea. Our homes are made from what the sea gives, wood from broken ships, old nets, torn seaweed. Our life is tied to the cycle of the sea and the seasons. Morning is dedicated to work, to sustenance, gathering fish, planting rice. Afternoon is for rest, reading to gain knowledge, writing to impart knowledge, or rituals. Evening is a time to share, to tell stories of ancestors." Momongo hands Fjorna a cucumber, but the barbarian devours it with one bite, leaving the druid with just the stub of the vegetable in his hand. In recent years, integration with 10 cities has led our traditions to disappear, fishmen favoring trade or mercenary work over passing down our culture. This is a trend that makes Momongo sad, but it is inevitable. In nature, everything is change. Everything evolves. However, the recent climate change is not a natural outcome. It's a sinister interference. Momongo watches the fish in the water. This place has always been a resting spot for our fish friends. They come here to stop during seasonal migration, to heal from infections, or simply to tell stories. But now with the crazy ocean currents, friends' fish are lost or attacked by monsters never seen before. This is the work of a ruthless mind. Sigrud chews on some broccoli and asks, "And you fishmen, do you eat fish? Isn't that strange?" Momongo replies, "Even you humans eat small mammals. Isn't it the same?" Momongo sees more difference between Momongo and a carp than between Sigrud and a little pig, then bursts into laughter. "Indeed, from this angle you look like a piglet," teases his sister. Sigrud sticks out his tongue. Momongo has chosen not to eat fish friends. Momongo very sad when day after healing wounds of friend hears that he has been caught and served on a plate. But this is the chain of survival. Momongo can only choose not to participate. Nature is equally rich in nourishment and flavors. Then he offers a plate to Ceria. "For example, taste how good this is. It's a..." Ceria swats the plate away with a sweep of her hand, making it roll on the ground. "I don't care about your cooking," shouts the elk in an uncontrollable and furious tone. "If you can't help us, stop wasting our time," she adds. The group members, especially Fjorna, remain silent, not thinking Ceria could raise her voice so rudely. Momongo retracts his arms, breathes hurriedly, and has a pained expression as if trying to hold back something, then bursts into tears. The large fishman cries desperately like a child. Huge salty tears, as big as tomatoes, crash to the floor, making popping sounds. The group members don't know how to act, while Ceria looks at the druid with an impassive expression. Then suddenly, everyone begins to cry, shiny tears sliding down the cheeks of the party members. "What the heck?" says Sigrud, touching a tear. "What's happening? Is it Momongo doing this?" asks Fjorna, standing up. "No, this is," whispers Zephira. Suddenly, Ceria is trapped in a turbulent water bubble. She can't move and can't breathe. "No, don't do it." Momongo shouts in despair, appearing to resist, but something is controlling him against his will. He opens his mouth and swallows Ceria in one gulp. "Ceria!" The name shouted by Fjorna is the last thing the archaeologist hears before sliding down a dark and slimy tunnel. Descending at increasing speed, it seems to never end. Then the tunnel opens up into a huge underwater environment. There are very tall seaweeds and the ruins of a huge castle in the background. Ceria flails her arms trying to swim steadily. She doesn't have time to think as a huge vortex with a mysterious figure inside it threatens her, pointing 3 light-made tridents at her. "You have hurt Momongo?" An angry voice inside the vortex tells her. It's shrill, seems like a child's voice. "You're a bad person." The tridents are hurled at the young elk who, reaching into her holster, firmly grabs the laser pistol between her fingers, perhaps out of survival instinct, perhaps out of anger. Ceria manages to intercept and block all 3 tridents with bright explosions that dissipate among the water bubbles. No one can hurt Momongo, the mysterious figure says as it generates above itself an even larger trident ready to be thrown. Ceria is running out of oxygen. She should be conserving air. But in a burst of anger, she shouts, "It's not my fault if I hurt that catfish's feelings." The gigantic trident halts suspended. His feelings? You didn't hurt Momongo? Asks the voice with a bewildered tone. Why would I have? Ceria responds, expelling the last bubble of oxygen she had in her body as she sinks to the seafloor. The mysterious figure dissolves the trident and creates a breathable air bubble around Ceria. When she opens her eyelashes, her vision is blurred. She coughs, rubs her eyes, and sees in front of her a bizarre and majestic creature. A small white narwhal with a long horn and golden ornaments embedded in its back. The narwhal speaks to her with an innocent and apologetic tone. Forgive me. I sensed that Momongo was crying, and I acted recklessly. It's not clear what's going on here. Ceria has many questions. She hesitantly holsters her pistol and asks, Where are we? Who are you? The narwhal seems surprised. Wait, you can understand me. Ceria scratches a dripping ear. Yes, is that strange? The narwhal replies, It is indeed. I have never been able to speak with any surface dwellers, only with Momongo because he is an aquatic druid. What are you? I'm an archaeologist, replies Ceria. Do archaeologists know how to communicate with fish? Asks the narwhal. No, I don't think so. The creature swims around the bubble, looking at Ceria with curiosity. You surface dwellers are really strange. Don't your feet hurt from always standing on the ground? Ceria responds with an impatient look while squeezing her scarf. Forgive me, I haven't answered your questions. My name is Prismarina. This is the space that Momongo created for me. It lies between the material world and the water realm. One can only enter and exit through Momongo. What's your name? Ceria, replies the elk. Ceria? What a strange name. I guess it's a nice name among you landwalkers. Have you ever been to a fair? Asks the narwhal. A fair? You mean like village festivals? Yes, they used to organize fairs in Dugan's Hole before the climate went crazy. The narwhal starts swimming playfully, drawing little circles. Children near the port always talked about it as a wonderful event. I've always wanted to participate in a human fair. Can you suggest to Momongo to take me there one day? Ceria puts her hands on her hips. I'll see what I can do. But you must stop kidnapping me or my companions. Do you promise? I promise, the narwhal rejoices. Ceria raises her pinky. This is how we elks make a promise. Bring your fin closer. The narwhal leans in. I can't reach it. Then give me your nose, says Ceria. That's not my nose, it's my horn. It's the same. Ceria and Prismarina seal their pact between the bubble and the sea. Oh no, the diary, exclaims Ceria, worried. She frantically searches for her father's manuscript, finding it in its usual pocket. Thank goodness it's not too wet. Then she makes a suspicious expression. Tell me, do you know anything about this symbol? Prismarina looks at the diary swimming upside down. Yes, I recognize it. It's the emblem of the Sapphire Scales, Momongo's clan. It originates from an old temple in the Frosty Forest. Ceria is astonished. Momongo never told me anything about it. Prismarina tilts her snout, does a somersault, and exclaims, I think I know what happened. Now try asking him again. I'll take you back to Momongo. Prismarina's horn lights up. The air bubble accompanies Ceria out of the tunnel. Will you come to visit me again? Ceria cracks a smile. I'll try, and thank you. Ceria ascends through the tunnel until she emerges from the mouth of the fishman. Outside, Fjorna is holding Momongo on his knees, with his arms locked while Sigrud and Zephira threaten him with a flaming axe and boiling brass. Ceria! Exclaims Fjorna, running to the elk while touching her forehead and looking at her with concern. Momongo collapses, coughing. Ceria, stay back! Sigrud shouts, ready to plunge his axe. Stop, Ceria yells. She approaches Momongo and asks, Why didn't you tell me the truth? Momongo straightens his back, crosses his legs, and begins to explain with a guilty tone. About 2 months ago, Momongo found Prismarina, beached near the village. She is a princess from the kingdom of Mur, a population composed of century-old magical narwhals. She lost her people after an incident. A great monstrosity attacked her kingdom. She escaped, then got lost among the currents. Momongo knew that Prismarina is coveted by greedy people, so he hid her within himself. Momongo has been searching for survivors from the kingdom of Mur, asking fish every day, but found nothing. Sigrud sheathes his axe slowly. Momongo told us of our history when we fought against the Naga tribe. We reclaimed the Naga Queen's den in the frosty forest and rebuilt the structure, transforming it into a druidic temple for its energetic properties. Before the structure was the Naga Queen's den, it was something else. Don't know what, but large and connected to other structures, passages collapsed over time. Ceria exchanges glances with her companions. And why didn't you want to tell us? The temple has been protected by my clan for generations, and only I know the ritual to access it. But the frosty forest has become extremely dangerous. Strange creatures turn trespassers into ice statues. Momongo cannot risk endangering Prismarina for... How do you say? No, I cannot. While the others are taken aback, Ceria understands what is happening. Momongo takes a deep breath. All right, as you wish, I will accompany friends to the temple. A part of Ceria tells her to desist, to not involve other people in such a dangerous quest. But that's not what she wants. She clenches her father's diary to her chest once again and says, "Thank you." In the frosty forest, a snow giraffe calf has lost its herd, chased by an ice elemental from the east, a raging creature made of sharp stalagmites. The calf tries to escape with all its might, but the elemental is fast and hungry. Just as its claws are about to pierce the small animal, a frosty sphere explodes against it, immobilizing it. You two are just trying to survive, I understand, but this forest is under my protection. A small figure with a wooden staff, covered by a white cloak, emerges from the snow mist. The elemental responds to the threat with a frosty breath, but the mysterious figure overpowers its attack with a fierce vortex of frost. Foolish of you to think your body would have protected you from my magic. My frost even freezes ice. The elemental is oppressed by a layer of ice, becoming a statue. The small giraffe goes to lick the hand of its savior while behind them, dozens of frozen statues loom.